This is the third video in our series on fluid and responsive display. The first concentrated on setting up a fluid display and the second on responsive web design using CSS breakpoints to change our page layout. Both these techniques will probably be essential in the future as the number and types of internet devices increases. In this video we'll look at the often irritating process of setting up YouTube videos on a changing web page. Here is the demo web page we used in the first two videos, using Cicero's famous text on good and evil, and some images of the man himself. Okay, on to sorting out the video. The basic setup of a YouTube video could not really be any easier. Take the one-line iframe embed code from YouTube and put it where you want on your web page, and that's it. Well, that's it if you've got a fixed width web page. If you want a modern page which adapts to any device, you could be in for a frustrating time. YouTube iframes come with a fixed width and height properties which need to be adjusted for each change in page width and layout. As we'll see, browsers have a problem with this. But firstly, let's look at a normal YouTube iframe code. If we set our video to these dimensions and change the browser window size, the contents change, but the video size stays the same. Well, obviously that's no good. And we can see the problem immediately. If we're using a fluid display, we can't use fixed pixel sizes. So let's change them to percentages instead. Couldn't be easier, except you should know by now that computing doesn't generally do easier. Here's what happens now. As you can see, everything's completely cockeyed. For some reason, despite the fact that browsers have no problem resizing ordinary images in their correct width and height ratios, they struggle with videos. So we'll have to do some fancy footwork. Firstly, we're going to add a couple of divs and classes around our iframe. Main video wrapper is what's called the parent div, and inside that main video box is the child div. We'll meet parent and child again in a minute. As you can see, we have also adjusted our iframe width and height to 100%, and that's pretty much it. So let's now go on to look at our two classes in the style section. Despite the small amount of code, if you're new to all this, this might be a bit puzzling, but never mind. Copy first and ask questions afterwards. Basically what we have here is the parent main video wrapper acting as a placeholder for the child main video box, into which we're then going to put the iframe. In this parent-child relationship, the property position relative sets up the parent div at a particular place on the page, and position absolute ensures the child div fits exactly in that space. No good? Okay, we'll try this then. Position relative sets up main video wrapper on the page, and position absolute fits main video box exactly inside it. Okay, we'll accept that. But what about the padding bottom? And why 56.25%? Well, as you probably know, an HD video has a ratio of 16 to 9. Divide 9 by 16 and you get 0.5625. Multiply that by 100 and you've got 56.25%. Okay, so what? Well, it means that the height of an HD video is always 56.25% of its width. Alright, well what about the padding bottom? Well, that's a bit trickier, but let's have a go. As we saw, browsers are poor at dealing with video heights, but they can calculate padding percentages, so we'll have to use that instead. What we're doing in main video wrapper is ignoring the real height property, which is effectively 0, and creating a mock height value by extending the bottom padding to 56.25% of the width of that div container. Now if you've got that, then you should see how we now have a placeholder set exactly to the 16 to 9 HD ratio. All we need to do next is set the child main video box to fit its parent's width and height to 100%, and with the iframe already set at 100%, bingo! We now have YouTube HD videos always correctly set up on our pages, irrespective of any browser window size or any device, and can adapt to fluid and responsive displays with ease. In fact, it's even useful in non-fluid displays if you want to set up your videos to sizes other than the ones that YouTube gives you, without lots of fiddling. And there you go, that's it. Thanks again for watching.